Hello, everybody. This is Lance T. Walker, and I have on the phone with me Mr. JackGrise, who's a franchise coach with the Entrepreneur Source and also an ambassador and resource partner with SCORE in Pinellas County, Florida. Hello, Jack. How are you?
Hi, Lance. How are you? I'm happy to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Listen, you're an ambassador and resource partner. I like the sound of that. Tell me a little bit about what exactly that means.
Okay, well, if you're not familiar with SCORE, I'd first like to tell you briefly about what it is.
Sure.
SCORE is an SBA resource partner, which means that the SBA provides a little bit of our funding. But SCORE is a national organization headquartered in Herndon, Virginia, and it is run by all volunteers in the field.
Okay.
The paid people are staff at the corporate headquarters. There are 365 SCORE offices around the country. 13,000 some odd volunteers. And these are people that are typically retired or semi-retired that have been in middle management to upper management, and they're giving back to the community. And the charter of SCORE chapters around the country are to serve aspiring entrepreneurs, to mentor and counsel for those that wish to start or grow or buy a business.
Okay.
And we counsel and mentor them in their development of business plans and marketing plans and things of that nature. We don't do the work for them, but we advise and counsel them.
Excellent, excellent. Tell me a little bit about how this applies to the veteran market.
Okay, I started as a SCORE mentor about 3.5 years ago. And part of the code of ethics that we have as mentors is that we don't try to do business with our clients. Sell them anything or buy anything from them, etc. So as I was going along my business of mentoring, I encountered some veterans and who were looking to become entrepreneurs and came to us, and I felt there were going to be a lot more veterans that would aspire to be entrepreneurs. And I started to research it, and I found that the SBA indeed had done a study about, I think it was about the year 2009, where it said about 40 to 60% of the adult population think about being self-sufficient through self-employment. And so I said, well, I wonder how that applies to veterans and what the veteran population is in the greater Tampa Bay area. And I worked really hard to find statistical information, and I really got it from the U.S. Census Bureau. And the Census Bureau says that there's 1.6 million resident veterans in the state of Florida, of which 500,000 are in the age group of 18 to 54, with heavily weighted more towards the 35 to 54 than the 18 to 34 range. So that even breaks down to the two levels there. And so I said, with a population like that, and with MacDill Air Force Base being where we are in Tampa with the transition assistance program that's out, there's a lot of veterans that are probably in that same category that the SBA mentions, thinking about being self-sufficient, probably being pushed that way because unemployment for veterans is at least 3 to 4 points higher than the average unemployment rate in the U.S.
Unfortunately.
So given that, you look at the numbers and you say, if those percentages are really accurate, why don't more than 4 or 5 to 7% of these people actually do something about becoming self-sufficient through self-employment? And I contend that it really comes down to they don't know the resources that are available to them right here in the local region.
Wow. So tell us some more about that. What resources are available?
Okay, well, first of all, I then set out to become the veteran, I'll call it advocate for SCORE, so they dubbed me the Vice President of the Veterans Initiative.
Excellent.
So I add that to my...
So you're definitely a resource.
Right, for sure. As I mentioned, what SCORE does to help people, it's all at no cost to them. We do have some minor costs for our educational sessions, which are workshops of how to start your business and how to do bookkeeping and all kinds of things like that. So we also, now I'll shift gears and go to the Entrepreneur Source. As the Entrepreneur Source, I offer a no-cost, no-obligation resource for people interested in investigating franchise opportunities as a career alternative. What that means is I help them go through the whole process of vetting franchises that they might be interested in. We don't work for any particular franchisor, and we don't sell franchises. So what we do is the client that comes to us becomes our client, and their success is our only business. So we get to know them, what they're all about, what their history is, their work history, what they like to do, what they don't like to do. And we find all about them. And when we get that information, we present 3 different franchises for them to look at. And they can choose to go forward or not. And if they choose not to, that's fine too. It still costs them absolutely nothing. No cost, no obligation. But what they've done is they've learned a lot about franchise opportunities and to see if it's right for them.
Okay.
So these are all no-cost resources available to people in general. And so I wanted to specifically focus on veterans because, as we mentioned, the veteran population of unemployment was significantly higher than the general public. And so with MacDill being here and with the census population showing that the greater Tampa Bay region has 360 resident veterans, and of which about 106,000 of those are in the age group of under 54.
360,000?
360,000 in residence, yes, in the greater Tampa Bay region. 106,000 are under age 54, and those would be the prime candidates looking at possibly a career change. So if you think about the new economy that we're in, I don't know, I'm an older guy. I was a Navy vet in the 60s, so that gives you an idea that how old I am. So with this, with the new economy, there's no longer any loyalty that we've seen in the past. Like in the U.S., when I was working in my working days, you had loyalty employee to employer, and vice versa. With the new economy, those days are gone, and people are really having to fend for themselves. And when they do get a position, it's really not very secure. It's not something they can sink their teeth into and expect to be there for 30 years. You know? So that a lot of people are turning to, how do I do this? Especially if you're around the 50 age group, and you've been downsized or let go, and you go visit a lot of these unemployment support groups, you find that there's no 30-year-olds in there. Well, I should say no, but very few 30-year-olds. They're mostly in their late 40s, early 50s, even to the 60s. And they're expecting that they're going to find another position in middle to senior management at the pay scale that they were at. And that's not happening. And statistics show that. All the data, the U.S. Department of Labor and so forth, show that that's not happening. So people are taking lesser jobs. Okay, if you think about it, if you take a lesser job like that, you're really not going to be very happy with what you're doing. Okay, so again, here comes the 60 to 65 to 70% of the people that think about being self-sufficient. Well, if they know the resources that are available to them, just to even explore the possibility of self-employment, we should start to be able to help a lot of people.
Makes sense.
And so that's really what I'm targeting. And to that end, I've put together and I'll call it an entrepreneurial exposition. And I'm focused on the military and the veteran community in our greater Tampa Bay region. And that's in the planning stages and development stages, and it's going to run in November. We also have the venue set and the date set. It's November 10th. So
November 10th.
We'll be able to talk about that. We'll be able to talk about that a little later as things develop more. I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Excellent. But for right now, everybody should just circle that date on their calendar, November 10th. 2013. Okay,
that's a long that's a long answer to your question, but I wanted to.
It was a great answer, though.
A little background as to what this is all about.
Excellent. Now, November 10th is a Sunday. That's a good thing. So it won't clash with anybody who's actually working a job, hopefully anyway, and they'll be able to make it. So you should get a better turnout for that. So that's good. That's
precisely why we chose a Sunday, because we didn't want to encroach on anybody that's working. We want them to be able to come and find out what's available to them, and they can pursue it part-time and not interrupt their job and so forth, and still see if it's a viable thing for them to do.
Excellent. Sounds good. Now, I understand that immediate family members are actually invited to attend this as well. Can you tell us a little bit about why that is?
Okay, that is correct. If you think about the military and immediate family members, oftentimes people that want to start a business are not just solopreneurs by themselves. They look for support, and family support is extremely important, especially if you're going to start a business or buy a business, such as a franchise. Support being that it's not going to be a 9-to-5 job, and anybody that's interested or thinking about starting or getting into business should know that.
Okay.
It can become a 9-to-5 type job, but it takes a few years to get to that level. So there's going to be significant effort put in, and that requires family support. and if you don't have that, that's going to be really to hoe right there. But if you do have the support, it's even possible that the family members can work in the business with the veteran. And we further included the family because there's a lot of disabled veterans, especially from the Middle East, that are coming home. And these people, their brains are not necessarily affected, but their limbs are. And so they might need support in their business, and the family might be very willing to help support them in that business. So we want the family members in those particular scenarios, and it includes widows and widowers as well.
Okay.
So for those family members that are interested in self-employment and self-sufficiency, we're perfectly willing and capable and able to help them as well as the veterans, with or without the veteran participating.
Fabulous. Okay. Now, I think I heard you say that you guys had already secured a venue for the event. We did
indeed. It's the Hilton in the Carillon Center.
Okay.
If you're unfamiliar with that, it's about a mile from the Pinellas side of the Howard Franklin Bridge.
Okay, so it's in Pinellas County.
In Pinellas County, and it's easy access from north, south, east, and west.
Okay.
That's why we chose that. So we want to be able to reach out to veterans in the greater Tampa region, and my definition of the greater Tampa region is Sarasota, Manatee, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, and Hernando.
Okay.
And that's where the 360-some-odd thousand veterans are. The data that I got, they reside. That's where they reside.
Excellent.
The key for our success will be, now that the venue is selected for easy access, the key is getting the word out to the veterans so that they'll know about this, that they can come and explore and talk to people that are resources available to them. And it's not just SCORE and the Entrepreneur Source that are going to be there. There's going to be educational tracks all day. We have a keynote speaker, a wonderful keynote speaker who was retired from the Army. I neglected to get his rank, but his name is Mark Swanson. He's a serial entrepreneur, very successful, and he sold his last business to Bright House, and so he's currently a Bright House executive.
Okay.
And he transitioned directly from the military to entrepreneurship, and he's run 5 different companies and sold them off. And he's quite successful at it, and he's going to be our motivational speaker that all of these veterans and military and family members can relate to when he starts to tell them about how he did it.
Right.
And the theme of his keynote address is going to be turn your passion into profits. And the passion is anybody that wants to get into business should be passionate about their idea. So that's what he means by that.
Excellent. And of course, it's always great when one's passion is actually marketable, and one can establish a successful business with that passion.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure he'll be very helpful in helping people merge those two very important elements. All right.
And that's where SCORE and the Entrepreneur Source come in as well. I mean, it's not just a one-shot mentoring or a meeting with the entrepreneur.
Extraordinary.
It's an ongoing kind of a thing. So we meet with the entrepreneur as often as they want, and we provide tools like business to write your business plan. We have tools for writing business plans, and we help them make presentations and so forth.
Excellent.
I've also put a couple other programs together. I mean, if they're interested in education, because we offer workshops, but as my role of Vice President of the Veterans Initiative for our chapter, I approached the Dean of the Business School at St. Petersburg College about a year ago or so, and they offered a entrepreneur certificate program in a regular curriculum for one semester.
Okay.
And I worked with them to create an accelerated entrepreneur certificate program for veterans. Okay. And up until the end of July, Walmart funded that, so it was all free to the veterans. And now SCORE is funding it at this point, and we are out looking for sponsors for that so we can keep the program going. And we're starting to get some interest in that as well.
Excellent.
And what that is an 8-week, every Thursday night course 20 hours of intensive, I'll call it, using the lean startup method. And what people come away with is a googling of what's involved in the business side of business.
Okay. Excellent. So they've got
they get 3 college credits for that as well.
That helps too. Excellent. Now, you raised the issue of funding. When you talk franchises, you're generally talking an investment. Are there any financial resources or educational, aspects to what you guys provide as far as training?
Absolutely. There's lots of ways that veterans can finance a business, be it a franchise or even a startup kind of a business.
Well, that's good to know.
Or buying an existing business.
Okay.
For example, as the Entrepreneur Source coach, I worked with a veteran recently who really didn't have a lot of net worth, but he had a good income level, and his credit rating was really good and over 700. And I was able to secure for him actually an unsecured line of credit for $100,000. That's powerful. Unsecured line of credit is very powerful.
Absolutely.
And that means he didn't need to treat it as a loan. He could draw it down as he needed it and paid it back, so it would help him get his business started, and the cash was there when he needed it.
Very helpful.
There's things like that. And the SBA has programs that they work with different kinds of banks that will write loans under the Patriot Express for veterans. Those notes are subordinated by the SBA, and they're a little more, or they're less constrained than a typical SBA loan. So the government is really wanting veterans to be able to take advantage of whatever they can.
Okay.
In those scenarios.
Now, how about the availability of those loans? I mean, I've heard around the web certainly recently that a lot of veterans don't seem to think that the Patriot loans are actually being written that much. Has that loosened at all in the current environment?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. There are several banks in the area that don't write loans that are SBA subordinated. So what we do is we work with the SBA, and we know which banks are writing loans, and those are the banks that we approach. If a veteran is on his own, he walks into a bank, and that bank may or may not be an SBA subordinated lender. And if that's the case, then they get turned down, and they go try to just do a regular bank note, and if that doesn't work, they give up. But if they come to SCORE and or the Entrepreneur Source, we have these resources available. We work with them closely. And there's other private foundations and funding sources, I should say, like Benetrends and Guidant Financial. And there's lots of different ways that funding can be secured. It's not a gift. It's not
Sure.
just something that I hand someone to them. In the case of a grant, we get a lot of questions about, well, isn't there grant money available? And the answer is no. Grant money is generally not available from the U.S. government. Unless you're a research institute or a nonprofit doing something that's going to benefit the general public.
The community.
But one of the things I have done, again, as the Vice President of the Veterans Initiative for SCORE, is I worked very closely with a sister chapter in Palm Beach County who had a relationship with a private foundation. And what they were doing is they were offering business grant funding to qualified and eligible veterans. And, the qualifications are education and being a SCORE client and having a developed business plan, and that's what SCORE helps with. And then we submit the application and the business program or the business plan to the foundation, and if they like it and they agree to it that it could be a good business, they go ahead and fund it. And the last one that got funded was for $40,000.
Excellent.
And that's grant money. That's not loan money. That's grant money.
Excellent.
So there's ways that we can provide funding, but again, it's not. Funding is a difficult task, but we have resources, and that's why I want all of these people in the greater Tampa Bay area that are at least thinking of starting a business to know that there's tons of available resources here if you just avail yourself of them.
Well, it definitely sounds like you're a doorway to those resources and somebody that Pinellas County and Tampa Bay area veterans in general ought to know. So I want to thank you for coming on with us today. And now November 10th, as you said, is a little ways off. Today's September 10th, so it's exactly 2 months away.
Right.
Would you be willing to come back and join us again and update us a little about what's going on as we get a little closer to the date?
I would absolutely love to do that, Lance, for sure.
Excellent, excellent. Let's make that happen. Everybody, I've been speaking with Mr. JackGrise, franchise coach at the Entrepreneur Source in Pinellas County and the ambassador and resource partner at SCORE for Pinellas County. He's definitely a resource that you want to get to know and connect with. You will be hearing from him again shortly. And thank you again, Jack, for coming on with us at Voice of the Veteran.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Lance.
All right.
I hope everybody has a great day.